Picture this. I'm standing at my kitchen window, watching the late afternoon sun spill over the neat rows of houses in our suburban patch just outside Chicago, and I can't shake this hollow ache in my chest. My name's Melissa. I'm 32, and I've spent the last 6 years building a life with my husband, Ryan. He's 35, a sales manager with a personality that fills every room he walks into. Boisterous, magnetic, the kind of guy who's always the center of attention. Me? I'm more of a shadow, lingering on the edges of his spotlight. I work from home as a freelance graphic designer, which I love for the freedom it gives me. But let's be honest, it can feel like I'm trapped in a bubble, cut off from the world while Ryan's out there living loud. Our home is a modest 2-story place, tucked into a quiet neighborhood where the biggest drama is usually someone forgetting to mow their lawn. It's the kind of place that looks perfect from the outside. White siding, a little garden I tend to when I'm restless, a porch swing we barely use. But inside, it's a different story. On the surface, our marriage looks stable, like one of those stock photos of a happy couple. I've always tried to play the part of the perfect wife, keeping the house spotless, cooking dinners even when I'm exhausted, smiling through Ryan's endless work stories. But beneath that polished veneer, there's a strain I can't ignore. Ryan's late nights have become more frequent, his excuses thinner, and I'm left wondering if I'm losing him, or if I ever really had him. My loneliness has grown like a quiet weed, wrapping around my thoughts when the house is too still. Ryan's got his crew, though, 4 friends who are practically fixtures in our lives. There's Jake, a burly construction worker with a laugh that could shake the walls, the kind of guy who fills a room with his sheer size and energy. Then there's Tim, the quiet one, always glued to his phone, working in IT and barely looking up unless you force him into a conversation. Ethan's the charmer, a real estate agent with a silver tongue who could sell sand in a desert, always flashing that disarming smile. And Marcus is the wild card. He owns a small bar downtown and has a habit of tossing out jokes that make you cringe and laugh at the same time, often crossing lines I wish he wouldn't. They're Ryan's people, his escape, and I've always tried to welcome them, even when their chaos feels like too much for our little home. I've spent so long trying to hold everything together, to be the anchor Ryan needs. But there are nights when I lie awake, staring at the ceiling, wondering if I'm enough. I've smiled through the doubts, bitten my tongue when his phone buzzes at odd hours, told myself it's just stress or work or whatever excuse I can cling to. But deep, it's Friday night, just past 11 p.m., and I'm nestled into the corner of our cozy living room couch. The soft glow of my laptop screen casting shadows across my face. I've got a steaming cup of chamomile tea on the side table, its faint floral scent a small comfort as I tweak a design project that's due next week. I'm in my favorite worn-out pajamas, the kind with little cartoon cats all over them, and my hair's thrown up in a messy bun that's more practical than cute. The house is quiet, save for the occasional hum of the fridge from the kitchen. I'd been expecting a peaceful evening. Ryan had texted me hours ago saying he'd be out late at some work party, so I figured I'd have the place to myself to unwind and get some work done. Then, out of nowhere, the front door slams open with a force that makes me jump, nearly spilling my tea. A wave of raucous laughter floods in, followed by the heavy thud of boots stomping across the hardwood floor. My heart sinks as I see Ryan stumble through the doorway, his tie hanging loose around his neck like a noose he couldn't be bothered to tighten, his cheeks flushed a deep red from what's clearly been a night of heavy drinking. Behind him, his usual crew piles in, Jake, Tim, Ethan, and Marcus, each one louder than the last. They're hauling a case of beer and a bottle of cheap whiskey, the kind that smells like regret even from across the room. Their voices bounce off the walls, a chaotic symphony of half-shouted stories about something wild that went down at the party, though I can't quite catch the details over the noise. I'm completely caught off guard, a mix of irritation and resignation bubbling up inside me, as I snap my laptop shut and set it on the coffee table. I force a smile, though it feels more like a grimace, and stand up to face the intrusion. The living room, my little sanctuary just moments ago, is instantly transformed into a frat house. The sharp tang of alcohol mixes with the stale scent of cigarette smoke clinging to their jackets. And before I can even process what's happening, Ryan's got his portable speaker blasting some thumping bass track that rattles the picture frames on the walls. It's chaos, pure and simple, and I'm standing in the middle of it, feeling like a stranger in my own home. Jake's already managed to slosh beer onto the rug, the dark stain spreading like a bad omen while he laughs it off, not even noticing the mess. Marcus is rummaging through our kitchen cabinets like he owns the place, pulling out bags of chips and muttering about needing something to soak up the booze. Tim's parked himself in the armchair, barely looking up from his phone, his thumbs tapping away as if the rest of us don't exist. Ethan, at least, catches my eye and offers a polite but awkward grin. A silent apology for the invasion. Though it doesn't do much to ease the tension, nodding. I'm still in the living room, hovering near the edge of this rowdy group, trying to keep up some kind of normalcy as I refill the snack bowls with trembling hands. The air is thick with the stench of beer and whiskey, and the music Ryan cranked up earlier is still pounding through the speakers, vibrating in my chest like a second heartbeat. I glance at the clock on the wall. It's 12:30 a.m. now, and exhaustion is pulling at me like a heavy weight. My smile, the one I've been forcing all night, is wearing so thin it might as well be invisible. I just want this night to end, to crawl into bed and pretend this chaos never happened, but I'm stuck here, playing the dutiful hostess to a party I didn't ask for. I'm reaching for another bag of chips when Ryan's voice cuts through the noise, slurred but sharp, like a knife wrapped in velvet. He's staring right at me, his eyes glassy but piercing, and I feel my stomach twist before he even speaks. You know, Melissa, you're so damn cold all the time. Why can't you just loosen up for once? His words hit me like a slap, and I freeze, the bag of chips crumpling in my grip. I can feel the weight of everyone's gaze shifting to me, a spotlight I never wanted. My mouth opens, but nothing comes out. I'm too stunned, too caught off guard by the venom in his tone. Before I can even gather my thoughts, he barrels on, his voice growing louder, more jagged with every word. You've been so distant for months, like you don't even give a crap about me. What's your deal? Huh? I've seen the way you look at other guys. Don't think I'm blind. My heart slams against my ribs, a frantic rhythm that drowns out everything else. Cheating? The accusation is so far out of left field it's almost absurd, but the humiliation burns through me like wildfire. My face is on fire, my cheeks flushed with shame as I stammer out a denial, my voice barely above a whisper. Ryan, that's not true. I would never... But he just laughs, a bitter, hollow sound that cuts me deeper than his words. He takes another long swig of whiskey straight from the bottle, his eyes never leaving mine, daring me to say more. I can't. I'm mortified, rooted to the spot as the room seems to close in around me. I glance at the others, desperate for some kind of lifeline, but there's nothing. Jake is staring at the floor, his massive frame hunched over like he's trying to disappear into the carpet. Tim is fidgeting with his phone, his fingers moving faster now, as if he can scroll away from this mess. Marcus has this uncomfortable smirk on his face, like he's watching some twisted reality show, and it makes my skin crawl. Ethan looks like he might say something. His mouth twitches, his eyes flicker with unease, but he stays silent, his hands shoved deep in his pockets. No one speaks up. No one defends me. Not even in my own home, where I've poured so much of myself into making things work. The silence from them is almost worse than Ryan's words. It's a confirmation that I'm alone here, utterly and completely. A wave of crushing loneliness washes over me, so heavy I can barely breathe. Tears prick at the corners of my eyes, hot and stinging, but I blink them back, refusing to let them fall in front of these people. I've spent years trying to hold this marriage together, smoothing over the cracks, pretending everything is fine even when I've felt the distance growing between us like a chasm. But now, standing here with Ryan's accusations ringing in my ears, and his friends refusing to meet my gaze, I'm hit with a brutal realization. Maybe this whole thing is a sham. Maybe I've been fooling myself, clinging to a version of us that doesn't exist anymore. The thought is a punch to the gut, stealing the last of my strength. I feel small, insignificant, like I'm shrinking under the weight of their judgment. Ryan mutters something else under his. I'm sitting at the dining table now, the house finally settling into an uneasy quiet. It's around 1:15 a.m., and the music that was blaring earlier has been turned down to a faint murmur, barely audible over the soft snores coming from the living room. Ryan's out cold in the bedroom, having stumbled there not long after his vicious outburst, leaving me to stew in the aftermath of his words. I'm staring at an empty glass of water in front of me, my fingers tracing the rim absent-mindedly, but my mind is anything but still. His accusations keep looping in my head, each replay sharper than the last. You're so damn cold. I've seen the way you look at other guys. The sting of it hasn't faded. It's like a splinter lodged deep, impossible to ignore. I feel raw, exposed, like every insecurity I've ever buried has been dragged into the open for everyone to see. Jake and Marcus are sprawled out on the couch, their heavy breathing filling the silence with a rhythm that's almost hypnotic. They crashed hard after the chaos, oblivious to the emotional wreckage left behind. Tim's still in the corner of the room, his face illuminated by the bluish glow of his phone screen, thumbs tapping away like nothing's changed. I envy his detachment, wish I could just tune out the way he does. But I can't. My chest feels tight, like there's a weight pressing down on it, and every breath is a reminder of how alone I feel in this moment, even surrounded by people. Then I hear the scrape of a chair across from me, and I glance up to see Ethan moving from the recliner where he'd been sitting. He walks over with a quiet purpose, pulling out the seat opposite mine and settling in. I take him in, really look at him for the first time tonight. His dark hair is slightly tousled, like he's run his hands through it one too many times, and there's a faint shadow of stubble along his jaw that makes him look a little rougher, a little less polished than usual. But it's his eyes that catch me. Those green eyes, soft and warm, filled with a concern that feels almost tangible. They're searching mine, like he's trying to read the storm inside me. And when he speaks, his voice is low, steady, a stark contrast to the harshness I've been replaying in my mind. Melissa, I didn't believe a word he said, not one. I've seen how hard you try, how much you put into everything. You deserve respect, warmth, not that kind of treatment, His words hit me like a lifeline tossed into choppy waters. I feel a lump rise in my throat, thick and heavy, as the anger and shame that have been clawing at me start to dissolve, just a little. It's not gone, not by a long shot, but there's a flicker of something else now, gratitude maybe, or relief that someone sees me, even if it's just for a moment. I look up at him, my vision blurred by the tears I've been fighting all night, and I manage a small, shaky, "Thank you." My voice cracks on the words, barely audible, but he hears it. I know he does because his expression softens even more, and for a second I feel like I can breathe again. We sit there in silence, the air between us thick with something unspoken, something I can't quite name. It's heavy, but not uncomfortable, more like a shared understanding, a quiet acknowledgement of the mess we're both witnessing. My mind is a tangle of conflicting urges. Part of me wants to call it a night, to send everyone home and crawl under my covers, shutting out the world until I can piece myself back together. I'm exhausted, bone-deep tired, and the idea of hiding away feels like the safest option. But there's another part of me, a smaller, quieter part, that craves this fleeting connection, this moment of being seen after feeling invisible for so long. It's dangerous, I know it is, but it's also intoxicating in a way I haven't felt in ages. I've been so. It's close to 1:45 a.m. now, and the house has fallen into an eerie stillness, the kind that feels heavier after hours of chaos. The only sounds are the faint, rhythmic snores of Jake and Marcus, passed out on the couch in the living room, their presence a distant reminder of the night's earlier storm. Tim, still tucked away in the corner, has finally dozed off, his phone slipping from his slack hand to rest on his lap, the screen dark at last. I'm still at the dining table, my empty glass forgotten, my mind a churning mess of hurt and confusion. Ethan sits across from me, his hand resting near mine, the warmth of his fingers brushing against my skin like a quiet question. I'm not sure I'm ready to answer. My chest is a battlefield of emotions. Guilt gnaws at me, sharp and relentless, for even sitting here with him like this. But there's also a longing, a desperate ache to feel something other than the pain Ryan's words carved into me earlier tonight. His accusations still echo in my head, each one a fresh wound, and I'm drowning in the need to escape, to push away the humiliation that's been suffocating me for hours. I pull my hand back suddenly, the contact too much, too dangerous, and I stand up, muttering something about clearing the table as an excuse to move, to breathe. I grab a few stray cups and plates, my movements jerky, almost frantic as I head toward the kitchen, hoping the mundane task will anchor me. But Ethan doesn't stay at the table. I hear the soft scrape of his chair as he follows me, his footsteps steady and deliberate on the tiled floor. I set the dishes in the sink, my hands gripping the edge of the counter for support, and I feel him behind me, close enough that the air between us feels charged, electric. I turn to face him, my back pressed against the cool edge of the counter, and he steps closer, his frame towering just enough to make my pulse spike. His voice is a whisper, low and intimate, cutting through the silence like a blade. "You don't have to feel alone tonight, Melissa." The words hang there, heavy with meaning, and my heart races so fast I'm sure he can hear it. I know this is wrong. Every rational part of me screams it, but the hurt inside me is louder, a raw, desperate cry for relief, for a moment to forget the weight of everything. I'm caught in a haze of despair, my thoughts spiraling, and before I can stop myself, I let him close the distance. His lips meet mine, tentative at first, testing the waters, and I freeze for a split second, torn between pulling away and giving in. But then the dam breaks, and the kiss deepens, raw and intense, a rush that drowns out the noise in my head. I feel the warmth of his breath against my skin, the slight roughness of his stubble grazing my cheek, a stark contrast to the softness of the moment. My hands tremble as they clutch at his shirt, fingers curling into the fabric like it's the only thing keeping me grounded. This isn't about passion. Not really. It's about numbing the ache, about feeling alive for just a fleeting second, even if it's a lie. We stumble out of the kitchen, the urgency between us pulling us toward the small guest room just off to the side. The door clicks shut behind us, a sound that feels final, like a line I can never uncross. In the dim light filtering through the blinds, I give in completely, surrendering to the moment despite knowing I'm betraying everything I've ever stood for. My vows, my values, myself. What happens next is brief, almost mechanical, driven by pain rather than any real desire. It's a desperate act, a temporary escape that feels more like a transaction than a connection. His touch is warm but fleeting, a distraction that can't truly fill the void inside me. When it's over, I'm left hollow, the momentary relief replaced by a crushing weight of regret that settles over me like a shroud. I lie there in the dark, the narrow bed creaking faintly under our weight. It's early morning now, just around 6 a.m., and the gray light of dawn is creeping through the guest room window, casting long, cold shadows across the rumpled sheets. I'm still in the narrow bed, the weight of last night pressing down on me like a physical thing, heavy and unyielding. Ethan's gone, slipped out quietly sometime in the last hour while I lay there, eyes half closed, pretending to sleep. I didn't want to face him, didn't want to see the look in his eyes after what we did. My body feels numb, like it belongs to someone else, and my mind is a relentless loop, replaying every moment of the night, every touch, every whispered word, every choice I made that I can't take back. The regret is a bitter taste in my mouth, sharp and lingering, as I pull the thin blanket tighter around me, wishing I could disappear into it. Finally, I force myself to move, dragging my aching limbs out of bed. I grab my robe from the chair, the soft fabric a small comfort against my skin, as I tie it around me with trembling fingers. My bare feet pad against the cold hardwood floor as I step into the hallway, the silence of the house almost suffocating after the chaos of hours ago. That's when I see him, Ryan, standing in the doorway of our bedroom just a few feet away. My breath catches in my throat, sharp and painful, as I freeze mid-step. His face is unreadable, a mask of stone, but his eyes... Oh, his eyes are dark with something I can't name. Is it anger? Hurt? Or maybe resignation, like he's already given up on us? They bore into me, heavy and accusing, and I feel my stomach twist into knots. He must know. He must have seen or heard something. There's no other explanation for the way he's looking at me now, like I'm a stranger who's trespassed into his life. The silence between us is a living thing, thick and oppressive, wrapping around us like a fog I can't see through. I want to say something, anything, to break it, to explain, to apologize, to beg for forgiveness, but the words stick in my throat, choking me. My lips part, but no sound comes out. Ryan just stares, his gaze unrelenting, for what feels like an eternity. Then, without a word, he turns away, stepping back into the bedroom and closing the door behind him with a soft, deliberate click that echoes in my ears like a gunshot. I'm left standing there, rooted to the spot, my heart pounding so hard it feels like it might crack my ribs. That quiet shut of the door. It's louder than any scream, heavier than any accusation he could have thrown at me. It's final, in a way I can't fully grasp yet, and it leaves me hollowed out, shivering in the dim hallway. I don't know how long I stand there, staring at the closed door, before my legs finally carry me forward. I shuffle into the living room, and the sight that greets me is a brutal reminder of the night's wreckage. The space is a mess. Empty beer bottles scattered across the coffee table and floor, some tipped over with sticky puddles pooling beneath them. Crumpled napkins and half-eaten bags of chips litter the couch cushions, and the faint, stale smell of alcohol and smoke still hangs in the air, clinging to everything like a bad memory. Jake, Marcus, and Tim are gone, probably slipped out in the early hours, leaving behind this chaos as if it's my problem to clean up. And I guess it is. I sink onto the couch, the springs creaking under my weight, and bury my face in my hands. They're shaking, I notice distantly, trembling like leaves in a storm, and I can't make them stop. The full weight of what I've done crashes over me then, a tidal wave of shame and guilt that drags me under. I've crossed a line, a jagged, irreversible boundary that I can't step back over, no matter how much I wish I could. What happened in that guest room with Ethan wasn't just a mistake, it was a betrayal. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and comment if you enjoyed this story. This will help us create more engaging stories for you.